Hello and welcome to my channel Learning is Fun. Today I have bought the new chapter The 100 Dresses by Bsor Ester. This chapter have been taken from the class 10 book. Here I have explained the entire summary with the pictures and the central idea and also a brief account about the character. So let's get started. 100 Dresses. It is written by the Ester. She was born in May 1906 and she died in July 15, 1988. She was basically an American children's author. This chapter, The 100 Dresses, is based on her real-life experience as the girl who received Peggy's hand-me-down dresses. The story, The 100 Dresses, this is the central idea of the story. Here, it is based on Eleanor's real-life experience. It is the story of a girl who received Peggy's hand-me-down dresses. She felt very guilty for not having defended the character Vanda in her real life. She wrote the story in order to assuage her guilt and to encourage others to stand against bullies. Before I start the chapter, let me introduce with the character of the story. The first one is Venda Petrovsky. She was not vindictive, though she had been a constant target and the stock of laughter. Her classmate used to bully her on her funny name and her also bullied about her blue unironed dress. She was very sensitive and also a forgiving girl, as at the end of the story we find how she even forgave all those who bullied her. The next character is Peggy. She belonged to a rich family and was most popular girl in the school. She was pretty and she had many pretty clothes as she belonged to a rich family, and her hair was curly. The third character is Maddie, who is also the writer of the story. She belonged to a poor family and used to wear Peggy's hand-me-down dresses. But nobody knew about it, not even the Piggy, as that she was wearing her dress, as her mother, means Maddie's mother, decorated it with beautiful laces. She felt very bad when she came to know that Vanda has withdrawn her name from the school. She cursed herself as she remained silent when her classmates used to bully Vanda. So let's start. So today is Monday. Venda Petrovsky was not in her seat, but nobody noticed her. Not even Peggy, not even Madeline. The girls who have started all the fun, means about the bully, noticed her absence. Vanda usually sat in the seat next to the last seat in the last row in room number 13. Room number 13 is the class where all these students used to sit. She sat in the corner of the room where the rough boys who did not make good marks sat the corner of the room where there was most scuffling of feet, most roar of laughter when anything happened funny in the class. And nobody knew, the fact is nobody knew that why she used to sit there. Vanda did not sit there. The reason was not that she was rough and noisy, but on contrary we can say she was very quiet and rarely said anything at all. And nobody had ever heard her laugh out loud. Sometimes it happened that she twisted her mouth into a crooked sort of smile, but that was all. Nobody knew exactly why Vanda sat in that seat, because all the rough boys, all the scuffling of the feet and the roar of laughter, she doesn't do anything. The only thing was she belonged to the Bogin's Hide. It was the place where poor immigrant lived, and her feet were usually covered with dry mud. So maybe this is the reason that she used to sit at the last corner, and nobody in the class bothered about her. So Vanda Petrovsky, most of the children in the room 13 did not have names like that. All the classmates used to make fun of her name, Vanda Petrovsky. They had names easy to say, like Thomas, Smith, or Ellen. There were few boys whose name was funny, but not funny as that of Petrovsky. This was the thinking of Maddie. So the time when they thought about Venda, it is the time when all the classmates used to uh, mm, find Venda. And what was that time? It was the outside of the school hour. Then sometimes they waited for Venda to have fun with her. Only this was the time when they wait for Venda Petrovsky to make fun of her. Other than that, they never noticed her absence. So here the first character, that is the Peggy. Peggy was the most popular girl in the school. She was pretty and she had many pretty clothes and her hair was very curly. Maddie was her closest friend and these two girls have started all the fun. So Vanda didn't have any friend, Vanda Petrovsky. You can see in the picture the blue dress is the light blue dress wearing. The girl is Venda Petrovsky and she doesn't have any friend. She came to school alone and went alone. She always wore a faded blue dress that didn't hang right. Even that didn't fit her properly. It was clean, but it looked as though it had never been ironed properly. She didn't have any friend, but a lot of girls talked to her. It was usually because she never distinguished between anyone. She used to talk to everyone, but the real fact was she did not have any friend. Sometimes they surrounded her, whom the Venda Petrovsky, in the schoolyard as she stood watching the little girls play hopscotch on the worn hard ground. She used to always stare all these sweet little children and her friend used to make fun of that also. Peggy would say in a most courteous manner, Vanda, she would say, giving one of her friends a nudge, tell us, how many dresses do you say you had hanging up in your closet? They always used to make fun of Vanda Petrovsky because she always used to wear the same type of cloth, that is light blue, which was not ironed properly. So they used to make fun of her dress. They always make fun of her dress and also bully her that how many dresses you have. So after hearing this question, Vanda Petrovsky used to say, yeah, 100 all lined up, said Venda. Then her thin lips drew together in silence. What are they like? All silk? I bet, said Peggy. Again, they used to make fun of Venda Petrovsky because when they asked Venda about her dress, she always used to say the same line, that is 100, and all were lined up in her closet. So now after listening this, Maddie and Peggy used to make fun of her. I think all were in silk. They used to make fun of her dresses. So how she answered means Venda used to answer, yeah, all silk, all colors. Velvet too. Yeah, velvet too, 100 dresses. Venda would repeat solidly, all lined up in my closet. So she very confidently used to answer all these questions which her classmate used to ask her, that yes, she had all the silk dresses and velvet too and all lined up in her closet. And after hearing this answer, then they had let her go. And then before she had gone very far, they couldn't help bursting into shriek and pearl of laughter. Everyone mocked her about hearing her words. 100 dresses? Obviously, the only dress Vanda had was the blue one she wore every day. So why did she say she had 100 dresses? What a story! How many shoes did you say you had? She used to answer that 60 pairs. So after hearing that she had 100 dresses, her friends used to ask her, okay, how many shoes do you have? And then she used to answer 60 pairs, all lined in my closet. All alike? Again, they used to make fun of her. All alike? सब एक जैसे दिखते हैं क्या? Oh no, every pair is different, all colors, all lined up. So here, after hearing this words from Vanda, Maddie used to think that why Vanda used to tell that she had 100 dress and all lined up, when the fact is that she always used to wear the same blue color dress. What is a fact? What is the story behind it? Peggy, who had thought up this game, and Maddie, her inseparable friend, were always the last to leave. Finally, Vanda would move up the street, her eyes dull and her mouth closed, hitching her left shoulder every now and then in the funny way she had. Finishing the walk to the school alone, as she didn't have any friend, she used to return back to her home all alone, and she did not have friends. So, and Peggy and Maddie both were the last people who used to leave the school at the end. And at last, Venda Petrovsky used to leave the school at the end, and she was all alone because she didn't have any friend. So she was totally alone while returning back to her home. Peggy was not really cruel. She protected small children from bullies. So this is the thinking which Maddie used to think, because Maddie was her inseparable friend. So she used to think that Maggie was not really cruel, because as she protected small children from bullies, and she cried for hours if she saw an animal mistreated. If anybody had said to her, "Don't you think that is a cruel way to treat Vanda?" she would have been very surprised. Cruel? Why did the girl say she had 100 dress? So even Maddie used to also think the same way, that because listening to her answer, whose answer? Venda Petrovsky's answer, that why she used to tell 100 dresses, and only because of that reason they all have started that fun. She would have not tell this answer, then they would have not started this game. So she was just defending who? That Maddie is trying to defend Peggy, that if anybody have told her that she is making fun of Vanda, she would feel that, oh, cruel? No, not at all. Why that girl tell in that way that she had 100 dresses? Anybody could tell that that was totally lie. Why did she want to lie? And she wasn't just an ordinary person. Else, why did she have a name like that? Even her name also stuck a lot to them. It was also like a fun for them, Venda Petrovsky. Anyway, they never made her cry. So they never felt bad about it, that as they never made Venda Petrovsky to cry. So they never felt that they are doing something wrong with Venda. As for Maddie, this business of asking Vanda every day how many dresses and how many hats and how many this and that she had was bothering her. Maddie was feeling very different in her in a way, that even she was because the reason was the Maddie was also a poor herself, and she usually wore somebody hand me down clothes, that is Peggy's hand me down clothes. Thank goodness she didn't live up on Boggin's height, or have a funny name. So she was just trying to defend herself that, oh God, thank that she didn't live in that Boggin's height, and also she doesn't have that funny name. Otherwise, she might also have the same way what Venda Petrovsky was suffering from. Sometimes when Peggy was asking Vanda those questions in that mocking, polite voice, Maddie felt embarrassed and studied the marbles in the palm of her hand, because she tried to that ignore those questions, rolling them around and saying nothing herself. Not that she felt sorry for Vanda exactly. She would never have paid any attention to Vanda if Peggy hadn't invented the dress game. But suppose Peggy and all the others started in on her next. So she was thinking that maybe she might also get targeted. So she was very worried about it. So she wasn't as poor as Vanda, perhaps, but she was poor. This was the fact that she was poor. Although she might not be so poor as Vanda, but she was poor. Of course, she would have more sense than to say she had 100 dress. Just she was trying to defend herself. She was making comfortable herself because of this situation, that because of all these reasons that Vanda was targeted and she was not targeted, because of all these reasons, because she would never say this type of answers that she had 100 dresses. Still, she would not like for them to begin on her. She wished Peggy would stop teasing Venda Petrovsky. So she wished she had the nerve to write Peggy a note, because she knew she never would have the courage to speak right out to Peggy. Even she did not feel good when Peggy used to bully Venda. So she thought that to write a letter to Pig. But after thinking about lots of things, that she is her one of the best friend, so she thought that let's stop asking Venda how many dresses she has. And while she was thinking to write all these letters, then uh, she stopped there. She did not write any letter to her. When she finished her arithmetic, she did start a note to Peg. Suddenly she paused and shuddered. She pictured herself in the schoolyard, a new target for Peggy and the girls. Peggy might ask her where she got that dress, and Maddie would have to say it was one of Peggy's old one that Maddie's mother had tried to disguise with new trimming, so no one in the room 13 would recognize her. She was very worried about, because she was thinking herself in the place of Venda Petrovsky, that the next target is her. She will be the next target, Maddie. If only Peggy would decide of her own accord to stop having fun with Vanda. Oh well. Maddie ran her hand through her short blonde hair as thought to push the uncomfortable thought away. So she was thinking to defend uh, Vanda, but she was thinking, no, this might not happen. What difference did it make? Slowly, Maddie tore into bits the note she had started. While she was writing all the letter, when she was thinking about this, she tore her letter, because she thought that Peggy is her best friend and Peggy was the best liked girl in the whole room. Peggy could not possibly do anything that was really wrong, she thought. So, Maddie was thinking, no, the same thing would not happen with her, because the first reason was the Peggy was her one of the best friend, and the second was that Peggy know that what is wrong and what is right. So Maddie was thinking that whatever Peggy is doing, it's not wrong, because if it was wrong, Peggy would have stopped. So thinking all this, she tore her letter. So Maddie remembered her telling about one of her dress, pale blue with colored trimming, and she remembered another that was brilliant jungle green with a red sash. You would look like a Christmas tree. So it happened once again when they asked about the details about her dress. Whom? The Venda Petrovsky. She told that she had a pale blue colored dress which was trimming, and she also told that she had one dress which was a brilliant jungle green with a red sash. Again they made fun of her by saying that, oh, you may look like a Christmas tree, the girls had said in the pretending admiration, and they were mocking on her. So now Maddie was feeling very uncomfortable thinking about Vanda and all her 100 dresses all lined up in the closet. Maddie began to wonder. And now the next happening was that the drawing competition, the coloring competition, and she was thinking who is going to win that contest. For the girls, these contests consist of designing dresses, and for boys of designing motorboats. Probably Peggy would win the girls' medal. Peggy drew better than anyone else in the room. Who was thinking all this thing? Maddie. Maddie was thinking because for her Peggy was her whole world. So she thought that Peggy was the girl who used to draw very beautifully. At least that was everybody's thought. What was everybody's thought? That is, Peggy drew better than anyone. So she was sure that Peggy is going to win that medal. Oh, Maddie was sure Peggy would win. Well, tomorrow the teacher was going to announce the winners. Then they would come to know about the fact about the winner. The next day it was drizzling. Maddie and Peggy hurried to school under Peggy's umbrella. They didn't wait for Vanda Petrovsky because usually they used to wait for Vanda Petrovsky. And why? To make mock on her, to make fun of her. And for the few days, Vanda was not there in her class, and they usually used to wait for her. But that day also, Vanda was not there, and but today they did not wait for Vanda because it was raining and they weren't taking chance of being late today because this was a special day when teacher is going to announce about the winner. So they both were talking about each other. Do you think Mrs. Mashin will announce the winner today? Asked Peggy. Oh, I hope so. The minute we get in, said Maddie. Of course, you will win, Peg. Hope so, said Peggy eagerly. The minute they entered the classroom, they stopped, short and gasped. There were drawings all over the room, on every ledge and window sill, dazzling colors and brilliant lavish design, all drawn on great sheet of wrapping paper. There must have been 100 of them, all lined up. This must be the drawing for the contest. They were. Everybody stopped and whistled or murmured admiringly. So when they entered the class, the entire class was filled with the all beautiful drawing and all the dresses they could see. And they all were surprised after seeing all these beautiful dresses which was covered in the whole class. So as soon as the class had assembled, Mrs. Mashin, the class teacher of the class, announced, as for the girls, she said, although just one or two sketches were submitted by most of one girl, and the room 13 should be proud of her. This one girl, actually she drew 100 design, all different and all beautiful. Mrs. Mashin announced the winners. Jack Bagels had won for the boys, she said, and his design for an outboard motor was an exhibition in room 12 along with the sketches by all other boys. I'm very happy to say that Venda Petrovsky is the winner of the girls' medal. The teacher announced the winner. And who was the winner? Venda Petrovsky. Now, class, you may file around the room quietly and look at her exquisite drawing. So who said? The teacher said. Look, now both were talking. Look, Peg, whispered Maddie. There's that, the blue one she told us about. Isn't it beautiful? Yes, said Peggy. And here's that green one. Boys, and I thought I could draw. The next instance was when Mrs. Mashin said that she had a letter from Venda's father that I want to, and which teacher want to read in front of the entire class. Mrs. Mashin stood there a moment for a silence in the room, grew tensed and expect, and she read the entire letter, and she read that, dear teacher, my Venda will not come to your school anymore. Jake also. Jake is the brother of Venda. Now we move away to the big city. No more holler polak. No more ask why funny name. Plenty of funny names in the big city. Yours truly, Jan Petrovsky. So here the teacher have received the letter from Venda's father where he had very with disheartened have mentioned that because of all the fun that students have made her name, the fun of her name, fun of her dress. Now they have shifted to the big city, and in the big city, no one bothered about the dress, no one bothered about the name. Even her father felt bad for it. Even the teacher, after reading this letter, she felt bad for Venda Petrovsky. So she discussed the fact with the class. When she spoke, her voice was very low. I prefer to think that what was said in thoughtlessness. I thought that all of you feel the way I do, that this is a very unfortunate thing to have happened. Unfortunate and sad both. And I want you all to think about it. Even the teacher felt very bad about it because that small little girl and her brother had left the school only because of that bully. And she felt very disappointed because of their behavior. The first period was a study period. Maddie tried to prepare her lesson, but she could not put her mind on her work. She had a very sick feeling in the bottom of her stomach. True, but she had not enjoyed listening to Peggy ask Venda. She had in her closet, but she had said nothing. She had stood by silently, and that was just as bad as what Peggy had done. Now Maddie felt that, yes, Peggy did wrong. Earlier she felt that Peggy was not wrong because she was trying to defend, because Peggy was one of her best friend. But now after hearing that letter, she felt, now she had a strong feeling that yes, because of that wrong behavior, Vanda left the school. Means it hurted her. It hurt her. Worse, she was a coward. At least Peggy hadn't considered they were being mean, but she, Maddie, had thought they were doing wrong. She could put herself in Vanda's shoe. Now she could easily feel how Vanda would have felt because of all the wrong thing happened with her. Maybe Peggy would climb the heights with her and they would tell Vanda she had won the contest. That they thought she was smart and the 100 dresses were beautiful. Now Maddie was thinking that she and Peggy would go to the Boggin's height before Vanda is going to leave that place. So they thought that they will quickly cover that distance and they will go to Vanda and tell that yes, you are the person who have won that contest, and all the dresses were very beautiful. Now she was very eager to talk with Vanda. When school was dismissed in the afternoon, Peggy said, "Hey, let's go and see if that kid had left town or not." So Peggy had the same idea. Maddie glowed. Peggy was really all right. The two girls hurried out of the building, up the street towards the Boggin's heights. Now, after the class have ended, they both ran to the Boggin's height to meet Venda Petrovsky. The two girls hurried on. They hoped to get to the top of the hill before dark. "I think that where the Petrovskys live," said Maddie, pointing to a little white house. So at last, somehow they managed to reach Boggin's height. Wisps of the old grass stuck up here and there along the pathway like thin kittens. The house and its sparse little yard looked shabby but clean. It reminded Maddie of Vanda's one dress, her faded blue cotton dress, shabby but clean. There was a sign of a life about house. Peggy knocked firmly on the door, but there was no answer. She and Maddie went around to the backyard and knocked there. Still there was no answer. There was no doubt about it that Petrovsky were gone. That night, she could not get to sleep. She thought about Vanda and her faded blue dress and the little house she had lived in. And she thought of the glowing picture those 100 dresses made all lined up in the classroom. At last, Maddie sat up in the bed and pressed her forehead tight in her hand and really thought this was the hardest thing she had ever done. After a long, long time, she reached an important conclusion. She was never going to stand by and say nothing again. Now she had a strong determination. She had determined in herself that in the next time, whenever this types of thing will happen, she will not support. She will defend that person on whom bully is going on. On Saturday, Maddie spent the afternoon with Peggy. They were writing a letter to Vanda Petrovsky. It was just a friendly letter telling about the contest and telling Vanda she had won. They told her how pretty her drawing were, and they asked her if she liked her she was living and if she liked her new teacher. And they mean to say that they were sorry, but it ended up with their just writing a friendly letter and the kind they would have written to any good friend, and they signed it with lots of X for love. So the next time Maddie thought to write to the letter, and she thought that she would ask lots of questions but ended up with just a friendly letter, and she was really missing Venda Petrovsky. So weeks went by and still Venda did not answer. Peggy had begun to forget the whole business, and Maddie put herself to sleep at night making speeches about Vanda, defending her from great crowds of girls who were trying to tease her with how many dresses have you? And before Vanda could press her lips together in a tight line the way she did before answering, Maddie would cry out, "Stop!" Then everybody would feel ashamed the way she used to feel. Now it was Christmas time, and there was a snow on the ground. Christmas bell and a small tree decorated the classroom. On the last day of the school, before the holidays, the teacher showed the class a letter she had received that morning. Again, the teacher had received a letter from Venda Petrovsky. Now the time period was too long. Now it was a Christmas. Peggy had forget about all the things that has happened to Venda Petrovsky, but Maddie still remembered Vanda because she used to miss her. So now again the teacher have received a letter which was written by Vanda Petrovsky. Let's see what was written. Dear Mrs. Mashin, how are you and the room 13? Please tell the girls they can keep those dresses because in my new house I have 100 new ones all lined up in my closet. I would like that girl Peggy to have the drawing of the green dress with a red trimming and her friend Maddie to have the blue one for Christmas. I miss that school and my new teacher does not equalize with you. Merry Christmas to you and everyone. Vanda Petrovsky. This was the letter which the teacher have received from Vanda. So, on the way home from the school, Maddie and Peggy held their drawing very carefully because she had permitted. Boy, said Peggy, this shows she really likes us. It shows she got our letter and this is her way of saying that everything is all right. So, I hope so, said Maddie sadly. She felt sad because she knew she would never see the little tight-lipped, polished girl again and couldn't ever really make things right between them. She really missed her. So, this is the last when after returning home, Maddie had a close look to the drawing and what she felt that the drawing which she had pinned the drawing on the wallpaper, and after seeing that wallpaper means that drawing, tears blurred her eyes. She looked intently and found that the face and the head of the drawing looked like her, means looked like Maddie. And excitedly she ran over to Peggy after she felt that the drawing, the face and everything looked like Maddie. She felt that yes, that face was similar to herself. So after feeling that, she ran to Peggy and she said, "Let me see your picture. What's the now the After listening this, Peggy said, "What's the matter?" asked Peggy as they clattered up to her room where Vanda's drawing was lying face down on the bed. Maddie carefully raised it. "Look, she drew you! That's you!" she exclaimed, and the head and the face of the picture did look like Peggy. "What did I say?" said Peggy. "She must have really liked us." Anyways, so this is the end of the story. Here the story shows that Venda Petrovsky was a forgiving nature. She had a forgiving nature. Even she have forgave the girls who have bullied her. In the last few lines we can see that both felt that she never hate both of them. Even the drawing also, they found that both the picture looked identical to both of them. And by showing this, it showed that Venda Petrovsky also loved both of them. Maddie felt very happy about it because Maddie used to love her, but because Peggy was her friend, she couldn't stop Peggy. But in the same time, she felt very bad for Venda Petrovsky, and she always used to miss Venda Petrovsky. But after seeing the drawing, she felt very happy, that she felt in her heart that Venda Petrovsky also loved these both of the girls. So this is the end of the story. I hope you have understood the entire story. The story was entirely on the small children, which unknowingly they used to make fun of the other student, and they never feel that by doing this they are hurting someone other's feeling, knowingly or unknowingly, whatever they are doing. So dear students, do not make fun of others. Just always try to put yourself on the other's shoe, and then you could find that what they are feeling about. So thanks for watching my video. Please like, share with your friends so that your friends could also learn. Do comment in the comment section box. Subscribe my channel and press the bell icon for the notification of the new videos. So see you in the next video. Okay, bye to all.